Hello, it's Adamant MTG here to play Magic the Gathering Arena and to continue the journey of the new player quick tips. This video isn't actually very quick because we're going to be doing the color challenge, which means we need to run through a handful of games. As you can see down here, we talked earlier in the series about the quest lines. As I mouse over these quest lines, it's a new day, so we can look at re-rolling this one, which is 500 gold. You cast 20 black or red spells. Because it's 500, we'll spin the wheel and we'll confirm it. And sure enough, it's still 500. Didn't change. Oh, it did change. So now we have blue spells, which is perfect for today's. And we never finished this one either the day before. So I sort of failed my questline accomplishments last time because I was making videos. Anyways, now today we're going to be doing the blue color challenge. So you mouse over here, and we see we have Jace Beleren is the next of our color challenges, which is blue. To give you a very good idea about color identity, this is one of the aspects of Magic that is a little under hyped, I guess. Everyone knows there's 5 colors of Magic, and people just kind of say, yeah, just play 5 colors of Magic. And most anybody who is going to play a deck will try everything. They'll try different colors, but you're going to get a aptitude, or you're going to start feeling, for whatever reason, it might be undefined, but there is a reason that each color has a draw to different personality types, different the way different people's brains work as far as puzzles and games. I'm a firm believer that your core gaming, the way that you're wired, has a lot to do with a lot of things that happened in your childhood, and we're not going to go too deep into that. But when I say childhood, I mean as you're developing and you're playing games, maybe you have a lot of emotion in your desire to win. Maybe you have siblings that affected that. Maybe you have sports or a certain thing that happened in your. Yeah, I think introducing competition and introducing how you manage competition. Are you a schemer? Do you like to plan out or visualize? Do you like to just get in there and get it done? Do you not care at all and just kind of enjoy the time that you're playing the game rather than trying to win? There's a lot of different things you need to think about, and those will help. The more you identify with that, you'll be able to find the colors of Magic that vibe with you, even if it comes to preferences. But you'll be able to rank your colors eventually. And yeah, without going too much more into that, let's just go into the blue deck. So mono blue in general, is a color with a lot of magical creatures. Flying is one of its sort of it tends to have more flyers than other colors, I guess, or just effective flyers. Elementals in the air, sort of water bendery stuff too, and of course just the magic of magical spells. So aerial domination, let's take a look at this deck. How is it built and what are they doing? They're trying to fill these decks with pretty consistent themes or consistency as far as archetypes, I believe. Sure enough, we have 26 creatures, 7 of them being birds, which I would assume all the birds fly. There's some elementals too. Might be air elementals or water elementals. We can look at that. And 24 land in this deck. The white deck had 25, so I wonder why they went less. Probably have a lot fewer. Yeah, so they don't have any big 7 drops. They have a lot fewer high-end cards, so they can get away with 24. Down here we've got some auras, pretty typical. Some instants that interact with your opponent's creatures, or even your creatures if you need to. Walls, which not generally a big fan of walls, but you can slow down the opponent. I mean, an 0-4 has got a big butt, so it can stop a lot of things. Comes out turn 1 and gives you a scry for 1. So I get it, but it's not going to win the game for you, but it definitely could slow the game down so you can win in the air. Little birds. There's some gulls here. glint to protect things. Of course, you have to throw a vanilla creature in here just because. So they're going with the that seems like the material they use to make these are, I guess it's jade, but it looks like jelly. It looks like a gummy, like a watermelon gummy armor and shield and sword or knife. I don't know why you have a bendy knife. Just even the bendy knife looks like it's hot out here, and my watermelon dagger is melting. Anyways, that's silly, I know. All right, I guess we have to just get in and play it. So let's start the color challenge versus black. All right, here we go. Let me handle the goblins. We are Liliana Vess, which means we have a... Oh, no, we're fighting Liliana Vess. I'm sorry. I want to be Liliana. We'll get there. Really grotesque, yet somehow cute goblin. And more where that came from. Okay, so similar to the other... What we're dealing here is we have the ability... This guy has the ability, when he dies, he targets an opponent's creature and gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Now those counters are going to kill everything, right? They're going to kill all my elemental wizards, not so much the Drake. So we just have to get out there in the air and good start. Discount all of my creatures and ignore these little guys. Now that's harder to ignore because it has lifelink, but that's still okay. Alright, well look at that. We're going to put out these two first, since they're discounted. Oh, I could have done that. Darn. And then we're going to be able to go ham next. Oh, wow, we get a lot going on. Feels like a really powerful flying hand. All this evasion is going to be great for us. Not so good for them. Wow, triple Child of Night. Well, I guess that's 6 damage that we just erase. That's wild. Can't block those. With these discounts. Right, so we are going to go in for 6 since we fly, even though that's coming right back to them if they attack out. I don't know if the AI will attack out because it... Oh, and a vampire? Wow. And the AI is attacking out. Nice. We're going to eat it all. They get all their life back. Throwing way too much land, as we normally do. But we needed it. And now we have a big army to swing with. Now they're probably going to block. They don't. And that's why math is for blockers. Okay, Liliana. Did I have fun? Of course I did. Always select yes, you had fun. Otherwise they might stop doing magic. Alright, so this is the interesting part that we did last time that we didn't really analyze. I thought that these were going return to collection. It says very clearly. Add to deck. These two are coming in. We're going to upgrade the deck. But then we're going to take a look at it because for some reason it looked like they just added cards. No, it still says 60 cards. And we got the new ones in there. It went down to 23 land, even though they added a bunch of expensive cards. I find that very interesting. I wonder if it lets us manipulate these decks while we play them. Let's find out. That's a good card. That's overly expensive. I think that's overly expensive. I would rather take 2 of these out. It won't let us. Right, we gotta play it the way they build it. I find these build decisions quite interesting. It's normally not what I would do. I would take 2 of these out and put 2 more lands in, since we're going heavier, but hey, let's try it out. Still, I'm not confident that these are not completely, the draws aren't set up. We need someone to confirm that conspiracy theory. Am I actually playing Magic against the AI, or is it giving me cards in perfect sequence? Play against Viviana and find out. Viviana? Wow. If you hadn't noticed, it's very early in the... I was starting this early video recording, and clearly my brain is not caught up. But when is my brain caught up? Question. I have to take you because you're wonderful. Now, depending on how green is built, they can have reach. Some other creatures have reach, and that makes it really hard. Or flyers that have small butts, 2/1 flyers. Bird legs. They have a lot of mana coming up, so it might be just dropping big monsters on us. Would be their plan. Let's find out. Well, let's not find out, actually. Let's just fly in the air, and there's their first reach creature. As I said, green, sort of one of the opposition colors of blue, in that it has flyers to stop these little guys. So the spider's going to eat us all up. We can unsummon it and swing for 6. I think that's what I'm going to do. Keep the this is called sort of a tempo play. Tempo meaning you hold your opponent back, slow them down in their plan, which is their plan is blocking, and see if we can get there. Now you can use your unsummons during, like I did, just before a combat, and then swing. We can also use this other unsummon at the end step, which is what I'm going to do to keep my mana open. So again, sequencing your spells and casting them at the opportune times is the key to improving your Magic game. So also, one other thing to mention here. So I have an 0/4 blocker. I'm still at 20 life. I'm not that concerned about my life at this point. So I'm just going to block a little dude, one of the 1/1s, so I can keep my blocker alive. No reason to chump block right now. I reduced the damage from 7 to 6. Not that much of a big deal. But the most important thing is I keep this alive in case they have something really big and scary that they're going to drop down, and I need to put this in front of. And now we're in the end step. I put a stop here to remind myself that before the opponent's turn ends, I want to use my mana now while it's open, because then I get to untap and cast all my spells. So we're going to bounce this back. They have no way of returning it. If I would have returned it during the any other time, gives the opponent more information or more time to do things. You want to try to maximize your value by basically waiting till the last second. Now we have an unblockable the turn after, 5, 6, 7, which we have 7 mana. Yeah, I feel like it gives me the perfect amount of mana. It just seems too good to be true. However, that's a conspiracy theory, I suppose. And now we are guaranteed to win the game the next turn. Well, I say guaranteed. Sure, they have to spend all their mana to put out 1 flyer. We've got all the mana we ever needed. Activate this. Now we're not blocked. We attack with everything. One of them is going to get blocked, but the rest come through for the victory. It just seems too easy, these tutorials. But hopefully, someone out there who is new at the game, these sort of walkthroughs give you an insight of what my thought patterns are, what I'm looking for, and how I'm sequencing my spells to get maximum value. Now, of course, like anything in Magic, there are sometimes multiple ways to do things, multiple lines, and it's not bad to review all of them. Keep an eye on different things, maybe something that I'm doing that you would do differently, and try to do the math ahead and see if the outcome would have been differently. Are you getting kills quicker than me? Are you, how are you doing in your management of your mana and your sequencing of spells and getting damage on the board, all that kind of stuff? Your blocking schemes could be very different. I'm just kind of walking through what I do, but like always, I am not the source of all Magic knowledge, and there's plenty of people in the comments. Please, constructive criticism is always a good thing. We can all learn from different people's patterns and playstyles, and more importantly, find what your playstyle is. If you're seeing something that I'm doing and you're like, I like this, I could do this, or like, yeah, it's a little too, it's different, I'd like to play more aggressively, whatever it is. As we go through these and we learn more about the decks and the colors, we're going to hopefully unlock keys to how you can play Magic in a more enjoyable way. It doesn't have to be winning more. It just has to be having fun. Having more fun than you did the last time you played Magic. Alright, we're on to face Ajani. Now I saw a Fencing Ace. I wonder if it's the original deck that is played by the first one we played. Okay, we get tons of land. I do not have any mulligan options in this tutorial, so we just have to get in there. Flying creature enters the battlefield. Kind of cool. So when I add this flying creature, I'm a 3/2, which dies to the Fencing Ace. Unless I unsummon it and attack. That's only going to keep that, it's only going to help me for one turn. So is it worth unsummoning something like a 1/1? It's not. What is worthwhile sometimes is when it attacks. Keeping the unsummon around, but I don't know. Will they block? I think they're going to block. The AI typically blocks in these situations. However, there is a thought that I'm having. Now, you have to get in your opponent's head. That's another way of gaming at Magic. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack. I believe that the AI is so primitive, it's just going to say, I'm a sad 1/1, I can't block, and it won't block it. I don't think it knows it has double strike. That's just my hunch. If it does know, and yeah, okay, it knows, fine. Conspiracy theory, unconfirmed. It is aware of double strike. However, it might have just done it. Oh, yikes. Right, now we're getting shut down. But hey, this is kind of cool. Look at all these lands. We can still, because this card draws a card, this is actually a pretty fun play. We're going to unsummon our own creature. Now, of course, it missed the attack, but that's okay. We drop it back into play, we get a card, and now we're ahead. If I haven't already covered Summoning Sickness, you probably already know what that is. This little phasey concentric circle thing means that the creature has just been summoned this turn, so you can't attack with it. It's got Summoning Sickness, unless it has haste or something. And again, another good example of how effective unsummon can be in this situation. Because we put it back in their hand. Not that we have to. We could, of course, fly over. I'm just doing it now because I'm impatient. But it's a good point. I would say that was a mistake. Because if I let them maybe stack another enchantment, maybe they'll get greedy and have another Knight's Pledge that they would have slammed on it. I could have got a 3-for-1 instead of just a 2-for-1. Sure enough. So that was my mistake. I guarantee they would have stacked a Knight's Pledge on that Fencing Ace, making it a 5/5 double strike. But they didn't. So now I'm in the position of, once again, a little bit hasty in my excitement for the unsummon. I have to spend another unsummon. Now we're at 6 mana. We'll cast this. I want to cast this before my... So sometimes, here's another good... Oh, again, that's kind of bad. I'm too excited, but I wanted to get a 5/5 flyer out, so I would have done that anyways, but I didn't take advantage of its ability. Now, now it's all clear. My mistake and how it's cascaded into this game. Here we go. Let me explain my mistake. So of course, you know, the first mistake was the early unsummon. I had another unsummon in my hand, and I had to use it because I used the first one. I don't know, for whatever reason, I was super excited. Now I'm in a position where they have a pacifism on my 5/5. I have no answers for that at this time, and I would have had I kept my unsummon. So, as you can see, one mistake cascades into many others, and now I'm going to do my best to win this game. I do have more card draw. These Cloudkin Seers seem to love me, which is very nice. And they don't have lifelink, just double strike. I'm going to take 6 on the chin. A lot of damage, but a lot of damage to return. We're sort of trading. If not trading, I'm definitely ahead in the race because I'm doing 9. They're going to do another 6 unless they have a way to stop my flyers. We once again at 8, and just because I'm drawing all the lands won't matter because we have victory. But I'll have to say we had to adapt quickly. And sometimes the other big thing about making a mistake like I made is don't beat yourself up too much. People make mistakes. It's human. I've been playing this game for 28 years, and I just made a really bad mistake. As long as you recognize it, try to learn from it. Don't keep your mind focused on the mission at hand, which is reducing your opponent's life total before yours is. Then don't worry about it. Move on, move past it. Try to focus on what you need to do in the game and not dwell on the mistake you made and how bad the mistake was. There was a time in competitive Magic where you would travel across states and maybe sometimes, countries, getting on planes, getting in hotels. And when you do that and are committed to competitive Magic and then make a mistake, that's when you feel the sting of regret, the sting of shame of going, if I wouldn't have made that mistake, this whole trip halfway across the world, of course you're there with friends and you're eating good food and you're having a good time, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're having a rough night in a rough hotel with a bumpy, lumpy bed, and you're trying to sleep and people next door are too loud and you have a big tournament coming up. There's so many things that the experience of Magic over the years has taught me. And when you make mistakes and you feel that pit in your stomach and all your friends are like, oh, why did you do that? And you're like, I don't know. I don't know why I unsummoned it. And it cost me, a top 8, or it cost me a championship. Wow. But that's sometimes the thrill, right? So we're going to get rid of a couple gulls, which I never see anyways, and we're going to be putting in new cards. So let's do it. Take a look at this. They have increased the land to 25. It's still a 60 card deck. Cool. Play it. Chandra is in our sights. All right, Chandra. So yeah, winning and losing and how you manage those feelings and how you manage it is important. So. Tin Street Cadet. Comes blocked. Create a token. Pretty cool. Alright. So I guess the question, or the way to beat this guy is not block him. I'm going to keep my mana open, not for any particular reason. Got to attack first. Now, I was about to say earlier, when you cast your creatures, the first main phase or the second main phase, this is another sort of pro tip, if you will. When it comes to playing Magic and managing your sequences of spells and getting the most value that I've talked about before, there's a lot of things to consider, and one of them is information. How much information are you going to give your opponent on any given turn, and how much information at what time? How can they respond? Of course, in Magic, responses are limited to instantaneous spells or instant spells that are being cast. Now, by attacking first, I want to see if my opponent's going to do anything with their mana. Are they going to drop something that has flash? Are they going to cast something like a shock and kill my creature as I attack? All that information is, when I attack, I wait to see how they react to it. If I would have attacked or cast this first, then what I do is I use 2 of my mana, and I give them an insight on what's coming up. They know I have another creature on the board. Maybe now they don't kill the shaman with a shock. Maybe now they hold back, or they changed their strategy because of the information I'm giving them. So if I limit the information, I attack first, they have to either do something or not, and then now that I'm in my second main phase, now I cast my creature. When this isn't a smart strategy is when this creature interacts with my creature. Like when it comes into play, I get a +1/+1, or when it comes into play, I draw a card, something that might help me for the attack. In this case, I knew that wasn't the case, so that's sequencing. But that's even like the most minor or inconsequential, unassuming sequencing can be very important in the high level of Magic. Now you might say to yourself, I'm just trying to play the game. That's a little too advanced. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's sort of the equivalent of throwing a baseball and having a coach say your elbow needs to be tighter. You need to lead with your elbow. You need to put your knuckle here and this grip here, and you spread your fingers out here. And some people are like, you know what? I can throw a ball. I don't need you to help me throw a baseball. But if you want to throw a baseball better, and if you want to take, and I do believe that coaching, or there's always someone that has information to impart as you're learning something, then you take that advice, however you see, and apply it if you choose to. So here we are, same situation. They're tapped out. They might block. I do want to kill this creature, so I'm going to keep my glint up here. Hope that they block. And they didn't. And now we'll cast our Seer. And we have mana open for the unsummon if we really need it. We don't know for sure, but maybe they'll cast something that we want to. Another Spellgorger, okay. Will not block that one. Keep taking the 1 damage, that's fine for us. And I'm not going to do anything at the end step here. I'm just going to pass the turn. Second unsummon and double glint. I feel pretty strong here. Attack with everything. Let's see again if they choose to block. They're not going to block. They're just going to take it to the head. To the dome, as they say. Alright. They're not going to block. I will continue to allow them to not block. Okay, so now they're going to steal. They're going to attempt to steal. So this is a good opportunity to show you the stack. I've kind of gone through these demonstrations purposely without, and then when the opportunities appear, we can talk about the mechanics and how they're used. So you've got a couple of buttons. You've got, of course, the full control, which is the control button. Seems appropriate. And you can do shift control. You want to do that. Full control stops at all possible times, meaning it's going to hold priority every single exchange of priority. So we briefly talked about it, or maybe you've heard me talk about it on stream or whatever, but priority is what the game is all about. It's about the exchange of you do something, your opponent has an opportunity to react, then you can react to their reaction. It goes back and forth until you have nothing that you can do, and then you just say it resolves. And then whatever's on the stack resolves in the order that it was. It's sort of a last in, first out order. I know they don't like to use that term anymore. I'm not really sure of why. But the stack in Arena appears as like this, and you can see what's on the stack and how it's going to be resolved. You can also respond while the stack is being resolved. It's not a bunch of data entry and then watch it run. You can resolve one thing at a time and then take action. So for instance, I'm going to not click the resolve all button, but I'm going to resolve one step at a time. So 1, we'll give that a +1. 1 here, we'll give this a +1, and then the spell in question is now Act of Treason. Gain control of target creature until the end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste. They want to attack me with my own creature. Now you can also, if the board is cluttered, you can use this button to move it aside and get yourself so you can see what's on the board here. In this case, I'm going to be using Glint, which gives my creature hexproof. And because of the stack, I can now react to this, put this on top, and it'll ask me to target my creature, which I will. Submit it. Now they have an opportunity to respond here. I'll pay my mana and use it manually, or with the auto tap button, I'll use it. It doesn't really matter. I'll resolve the Glint now. And now they don't have a reaction to that. It simply has hexproof now. And now the Act of Treason will fizzle because it doesn't have a valid target. Now they still got the pluses. I didn't fizzle the spell. I just fizzled the target of the spell. So they may or may not attack. We'll see. Okay, they're coming in with everything. Is that going to be lethal? No. It's just going to be 7 damage. I can afford that. No reason to get panicked and unsummon anything. So I'm simply going to say sure. Now they have a shock. So we get to use another Glint. And now I might consider using my unsummon because there's a lot more damage coming my way. So this time, instead of waiting for those to resolve and targeting the Glint, I'm just going to get right ahead of it and cast my Glint now. Again, it's all about information and pacing and things like that. So there's the target of their shock. We now have... They're going to get their pluses. Shock will fizzle. And now they're doing 9 damage. Significantly more, but I still don't lose the game. So I'm going to, again, not unsummon anything and just take 9 to the dome. Another land as opposed to anything useful. And we have 2 unsummons to protect ourselves. Not quite lethal, but we at least know that we have a flyer next turn that unless they have another shock, we are in good shape. Now, the question is, do they have another shock? Do we have to use the unsummon? Ooh, wow. Okay, let's do some math here. Definitely lethal. Good thing we have unsummons. Wow, another shock. And they killed the creature that doesn't fly. It never ceases to amaze me, the AI. So we have lethal. We have victory now. However, it was because of some really bad plays. Although they didn't have a blocker anyway, so I guess it wasn't the worst play ever, but it's still very suspect. We know they have no spells in their hand that they can cast because we see them. So we can cast this just for the fun of it. I guess you could call it a BM. There's no reason to cast a spell, but I want to see what we draw. Another fantastic land. And let's take the game. So in that particular sequence, holding the unsummons till the very last moment was very helpful. We would have had, if we didn't have 2 unsummons in that case, we would have died. Of course, they had summoning sickness. There's a couple of different things you can look and review that play line. I won, so I could say I probably played it good enough, but I bet there would have been some more optimization of my sequencing. But But I'm okay with it. I'm happy with the victory. And there we go. We get to upgrade the deck once again. We get to take some Armored World Turtles out of the deck and into the collection. And adding some, yeah, some removal, some card draw, and some more flyers. Cool. We accomplished a quest. We'll upgrade the deck. See what we have next. So back in the collection, all the cards that I'm adding to my collection will show up in the viewer with this nice shiny new. Once you mouse over them, it removes it. So just be aware when you're adding to your collection, you have some really cool cards that you've added in. We got a bunch of rares. That's pretty neat. So it's gonna let us know, and we have to keep kind of mental inventory, if we will. All right, we have a 16. Yeah, now it's 69 cards. I don't understand. The cards that we took out, and why is it 69 cards? I'm still baffled. It showed 60 in the game, as far as I saw. Huh, but it's taking us here. So now we can make some changes, I guess, if we want to. We have, let me exit this real quick. So this is the big one. This is the big boss fight. And I don't want to play with a 69 card deck. So let's open this up. Let's tune this deck up a little bit. And when I say tune it up, I just want to make it 60 cards. So what cards did we... There's some cards that we loved, which of course the Seers were amazing. I felt like I had 4 Seers at one point, but now we have 3. This vanilla creature can go home. The wall is probably going to go home. I'm not a big fan of walls. If you like walls, that's great. They do stop goblins and little creatures from running you over. But to me, they don't do anything proactive. They're not proactive enough. They're not accomplishing what I want to accomplish. So you can leave comments if you disagree. That's fine. This creature scries 2. It's a 3/3. It's a little a little bigger of a body. But not so bad. I need to get rid of some of the higher end things. These things that cost 7. They're great cards, but they're just a little expensive. I don't think I need to draw 7 cards more than one time. Just too pricey. Flying is good. Flying is good. Sleep is great. I'm going to take out that. Let's look at our 20 creatures. Is not really that great. Not a lot of pressure or tempo. So we could look down here and put in some smaller creatures, but I'm not really gonna... I don't want to necessarily rebuild this deck or optimize it necessarily. I'm just trying to reduce the deck down to 60 cards. But there's a lot of cards that are really good that would be fun in this deck, and we'll do a rebuild on a later time. Right now I'm just minimizing it, and we're going to take the boss on with this deck. If we lose, then we might have to rebuild the deck entirely. Here we go, the big boss fight. I believe we load up against a real human being, which is frightening, and I'm nervous, and it's awesome at the same time. Okay, John, let's do this. I wonder if John is in the same tutorial run as I am. I'm always curious about how this all works. If anyone knows how it works, let me know. But this is your first... When you're playing these tutorials, your first actual human opponent. So you can use all the tips and tricks that I've used, outmaneuver, and we're getting milled. So the mill strategy is designed to attack my library, most likely instead of my life total. So instead of 20 life, they're trying to get me to reduce my 60 card deck. And maybe now I should have kept that 69 card deck. I feel like I've made a terrible mistake. And they have a 0/4 wall. Now the 0/4 wall is not a wall actually, it's a creature, so it can attack if it wanted to. But you just have to get to the air. Or punch through. So let's start with the Waterkin Shaman. This Warden is amazing, so I'll start with this. It won't give us enough to punch through. They're going to say no. It's subdued, so they've dealt with my attacker, which is fine. It's actually a really interesting play. When I analyze what my opponents do, I feel like that is unnecessary on a 2/1 ground-based creature. I think that would be a lot more effective on the flyer. But not what they did. Put a second discount flyer out, and now I can attack. I can glint if I needed to, and then sort of go to town. I think I'm going to try that. See if they block carelessly. If they do block, they chose to just swing by. That's fine. Blocking would have turned out bad for them. I would have used glint, but now I'm going to keep glint up in case they have more interactive spells. Winged Words is great. Get to draw a little extra cards there. They've got their mana flowing. Give it another Winged Words. Wow. They're going to fill up their hand. I could do this and still keep glint. I might just trade here, though. I have 9 damage in the air. Because well, no, I don't need to trade because I have an aura that's going to tap and prevent another blocker. And they can only have, I think they only have enough mana for 1 flyer. So let's do it this way. Not the Shaman. I guess we should talk about the buttons too. The attacking, you can always come back and not attack. So when you hit all attack, then you can take your creature that you don't want to attack out, or you can do it all manually and do it this way. There's lots of ways to assign your attackers, but once you confirm this button, this is confirming that those 2 are going in. Let's hit it. And now the question is, do I glint now? And I will, and here's why. I have another way to remove a flyer. Get in with 3 damage there, and now I have 9 on the board. Okay, or I have less on the board now. So an unsummoned would be nice. But that's okay. They're slowing us down. They're doing what they need to do. I get it. Sky Theater Strix. That's a non-creature. +1. I'm gonna wait. I don't believe that's enough of a threat to warrant water knotting it. they had the spell. It was very nice. They still lost their creature, but they got a spell off. They killed my creature at the same time. Not bad, not a bad exchange. They do have a whole bunch more cards than me, and I'm sort of fizzled out. So this is this is important. This is, how can I get through, finish this game off? We still have reasonable offense, and we have more of a board state. And they have all the removal. Interesting. And a Planeswalker. Wow, they are coming into this with some spicy, interesting stuff. Leap isn't really going to help me that much. Wow, 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 wow. We might not overcome this boss. John brought in a spicy and interesting deck with lots of ways of handling my my board. Now I get to draw some cards, hopefully. Getting me back. They have a negate too. Whoa. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah. Our opponent is figuring out how to play blue and opt to draw more cards. Is it another negate? You know, when you play against a Planeswalker that has counterspells, they always have them, right? Isn't that the rule? Not this time. We did it, everybody. They're going to draw a lot of cards. If they... Or not. They're just going to keep plussing it. That's okay. The good news is we're not we're not going to die. They have no threats on the board. Although they're controlling the board state, they're managing all my creatures very well. They're doing a lot of cool things. They aren't winning the game, which sometimes is a problem. Sometimes the question people ask is, how do you win? How do they win? What's their win con? Maybe it's milling, but they sort of did that only one time. I've got 35 cards in my deck. Ah, they win by stealing all of my stuff. Now I get it. Now they can draw cards willy-nilly. Wow. So they had it all planned out. Steal my things and win the game. Now they still have this emblem. Those of you, I guess we should do a Planeswalker tutorial, but I missed my opportunity. Suffice it to say, Planeswalkers are very powerful cards, and they were able to get an emblem out so they can draw 10 cards if they wanted to. Fairies Tutelage, wow. That's 20 cards. Well, not anymore. 6, 7, 14 cards they could mill. Pretty impressive, I have to say. I'm impressed. Whenever you draw a card, wow, they're sequencing perfectly. They're like living the dream. Very nice. Three, four, 5, 6. I don't think I have this game, but I'm trying. I'm trying to find a way to win this thing. And they could have had a blocker, I think. No, I don't. Maybe not. I think I only have one sleep in the deck. So that was my opportunity. I do believe now I am done for. Draw 2 cards instead, wow. Pretty neat. Definitely a very well put together deck. It has a plan. There's really powerful cards in it. I don't know who you are, John, but you're coming into these tutorial games and you're putting on a clinic. If you're interested in a deck like John's, oh, and now we just draw the land. I don't think the water knot is enough. But this is our final approach. Let's swing with everything and see what happens. Clearly they have enough blockers and ways to manage this damage. To take the game over. And we'll let them win out. Now, of course, you could always scoop. You don't have to go through the motions, but for the purposes of this game and, of course, the tutorial, and we want to see what our opponent can do. Let them play it out. If you're not the kind of person who wants to see what their opponent does, you know you've already lost the game. There's no shame in conceding. I, however, I'm kind of enjoying this. Enjoying what our opponent can do. This is pretty fun. So many interactions, and now they've milled me effectively. So now when I lose, it's because I lose when I am asked to draw a card and I don't have a card available. The game will... Let's see how they do it. You never know, too. Sometimes your opponent can make a wild, crazy mistake and lose the game themselves. Which would be hilarious, but you know they're not going to do that. And that's it. It goes to my turn. It says draw a card. I cannot, and I'm defeated. Cool. We've lost on the ladder to the boss, who definitely had a very much improved deck from the original. Claim some prizes. I like it. I like that we got our butts kicked. Clearly that person did a lot of modifications. I don't know if we have that many cards. Like, do we even have... How do they get the Planeswalker and stuff? That seems wild. Is it just a random... I mean, we have a couple Planeswalkers, but we don't have her. So was it just a random thing? Did they craft it? I don't know. But it's neat. And I'll do another video. As you can see, look done here. I took the original mono white deck and I improved it from the Keep the Peace. So another video will talk about how to improve your decks and how to import new decks in. I'll do that. I've already done that with the mono white. I'll do that again with the blue deck. And that's the end of the color challenge tutorial for blue. Hopefully you had a good time. If there are things that you want to see, obviously I'm kind of going through the tutorials organically as things come up. We try to talk about that particular mechanic. If there's something that you are excited about or something that I did wrong during that sequencing, please let me know. I'd be happy to have the exchange of ideas and knowledge. The idea for us all is to find insight and improvement to our gameplay, to our sequencing of spells to get the most value. Was there something I could have done in that game that turned the tide? I had them down to 6. It was pretty close, but they just pulled away, and mass manipulation was rough. Again, that's just a big card that they played perfectly. And yeah, so let's get together next time, and we will play more Magic. I will continue my quest to complete the color challenge. 3 more colors to go, and we're 1-1 in the boss fights. It's pretty fun. All right, be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and until next time, Adamant MTG signing off.